We have a Philadelphia transitional, mostly Queen Anne, but a little Chippendale elements, 1750, solid walnut chair. As I said, made in Philadelphia. Got a beautiful splat. If this were a Boston chair, that splat there would be much thinner. In Boston and Philadelphia were the two chair manufacturing centers in 1750. So why is it a transitional piece? Well, it's made out of walnut. Queen Anne were made out of walnut, sometimes maple. Chippendale generally was mahogany. So this is a walnut chair. The crest, as you could see here, you can see the ears. There's an ear. Then you see a corner on the inside there. That's typical Chippendale crest. If it were Queen Anne, that ear would not exist, and it would be rounded along the outside and the inside where you see that corner. It would be more rounded. And that is typical of the Queen Anne period. Another is the apron. When you come down here, you see that apron. It has a simicurve. That's typical of Queen Anne. Generally, Chippendale are straight. Also, there's no carving on this chair, which is typical Chippendale. You see there's no scallop shell, which happens in the Chippendale period. Also here on the apron, there is no scallop carving or on the knees, which is typical of Chippendale. Now these rules are not 100% because each furniture maker would do whatever they decided to do. Now you'd see this has trifid feet. See that foot? And that is typical Philadelphia. And also pad feet or slipper feet were typical of this era. When if it was a Chippendale, it would have either the slipper foot, the ball and claw foot, which is Chinese or Asian style, and that is an eagle clasping an eagle claw clasping a pearl. Also, the Chippendale also had just square feet or a square leg all the way down, similar to the back leg here. So that has this chair has design elements of a transitional. Of course, the seat is leather and is later. Most seats of this period are replaced. And believe it or not, those tacks are made out of wood. So the seat's been replaced probably 2 or 3 times. Nice armchair. You don't see armchairs as much. Armchairs when a couple got married, they ordered 6 to 8 of these chairs. Could be Windsor chairs or Queen Anne chairs or Chippendale chairs whenever they were married, whatever period they lived in. And one chair was an armchair. The others were side chairs, or the woman sat at the other head of the side of the table. She would sit in a side chair without arms because she couldn't get into an armchair because of her hoop skirt. Now in this chair, this gentleman, when he got out of the chair, you notice that foot versus that foot. This foot has more wear, so he exited this side. And he entered the chair from this side because this foot has much more wear than that foot. And also, I'll turn the chair around. Also, another design element only found in Philadelphia chairs. As you could see, this rail here is, you can see the exposed tenon. See how it's exposed. And of course, you have the square pegs It's a closer look of, let me move the chair a little bit more, closer look of that chair, of that foot. Now when you look at this chair, and I'll move it back a little bit, you'll see there's a rake to the stiles. See how it curves from down here? They didn't steam bend that, that's too thick. They had to take a 6-inch piece of very valuable walnut and whittle it all the way to get that curve. Same with the arms. That's probably, well, this would probably be 8-inch and this would probably be 6-inch. And they had to whittle that curve into that arm and waste all that valuable walnut. And the splat is also curved. And you can see the splat also has here a chamfer. So this is taller than this. So when you look at the chair from the front, it curves nicely. These chair makers and these cabinet makers of this day were artists. This is all handmade. Look at that beautiful walnut. All handmade. And I'll turn the chair back around. And you can see how rounded that is in the back. They didn't have to do that. Look how rounded nicely that's done in the back. They took pride in their work. Very much took pride in their work in this period of time. That's why collecting these handmade chairs is so nice. Or any handmade furniture of the day. So a Philadelphia chair circa 1750, transitional, has some elements of the new emerging Chippendale style, but mostly a Queen Anne style. And also I forgot to mention that on Chippendale pieces, this splat is usually pierced or latticed, decorated, pierced or latticed, no longer solid. So that's another element of Chippendale. So a nice chair. Thanks for watching.